This week's races, it gets a bit bangy in Daily Race A, Daily Race B. I lose the car, but do I crash? And in Daily Race C, Super GT goes on a bit of a journey. Yes, that's Steve. Hello everyone, and welcome back to a Gran Turismo weekly race guide here in 2024, week 33, and it's a bit of an odd week this week, if I do say so myself. First up then, in the background, yes, we are in the Sambabus, or the Space Shuttle as it used to be called, and we're at Road Atlanta. Now, again, it sounds very weird this, do bear with me. We're doing 3 laps here. It's a grid start with a false start check, comfort, soft tyres, and bop is on. Very much sounds memey to me, and we'll see how memey it is when we jump to the race shortly. Now, if you don't want to watch this race, there are some timestamps there for you to jump to Daily Race B or Daily Race C if you prefer. If you're wondering why there's no Race C guide, I'll explain that a little bit later on. Now, in terms of this combo, let's get those key stats up here. This track has been used 11 times. However, this track and car combo hasn't been used at all, which is no surprise. Well, we last used this track on the 22nd of July, so not long ago, and we're using it again already. The issues here, you may have to lift on one corner. A PD meme, potentially, to the flying bus. I have no idea. It just seems a bit bizarre to me. Let's jump into this race then. Let's actually have a look exactly what happens, whether it's actually a good race or not. Here we are then at the start of the race. Sonic's in here. Shout out to you. Nebu's in a, well, what looks like a tuk-tuk, but even so, here we go. Put traction control on 1 just because, you know, you never know with these things as we kick off this race. Tire temp starts at 69 degrees. Nice. So there's more and more. I think this is a meme. Now, you may notice it's going very quickly. I'll put this on 200%. Now, we'll slow it down in parts here where the racing gets hectic. We do have a good start here. And the horn is blaring away. It's something I really wish they'd remove from these daily races. But even so, down the inside of the French driver we go as we head up here then. And it's all getting very close very quickly. I've just slowed it down here to normal speed then. We're going to come into here and we're literally 3 wide. Going to go 4 wide here, but it all gets a bit squashed. I was stuck in the middle here. I managed to survive it. Unfortunately, the tuk-tuk or the pickup behind is the one that is sacrificed there, but they do come back on the circuit, so they should catch up and stay with the pack. We go down here then, this hill, nice and easy, nice and slow as well. We're following the Mars ice cream van up ahead. Now, you can have some cracking liveries in this one, so I expect to see some of those this week as we go into the left-hand. I couldn't see the curbs, so I had no idea whether I was about to get a trap penalty or not, but we tried to follow the Mars machine there as we continue on here. Now, we're just going to put it on 200% because, you know, we need to speed this up a little bit. And that horn is really annoying. We go into this right-hander, though. We do get past the Brit Cosmo there. And as we go into this right-hander, just a tiny lift is needed. That's the corner with the lift. And look at this for a run on Steven we get. Look at this. We stay on the curb just there to go around the outside. I actually really enjoyed that move. You can tell that by my face. That is a cracking move and a half, if I do say so myself. Let's fast forward a bit more here then as we catch up to the Peugeot Sambabus. And what's happening here is El Padrino's actually trying out different gears. It keeps dropping back down to 3rd to see if it's any better. I recommend staying in 4th for this one. There's no track guide for this one either because it's mainly flat everywhere. And it's all about taking the tightest line and maintaining speed. That's all it is here as we continue, as we get a slight tap there. Going in towards the chicane now. You do have to be careful of track limits here as we go into the left-hander. You notice I could turn in there very easily. Going to the right again, we're just clipping the dirt as we continue on through there. And there are track limit penalties on, as you're about to see. 2 seconds there, as you can see by my reactionary face. Yeah, 2 seconds of penalties. But remember, it's a slowdown penalty, as somebody put in the comments the other day. I know it's their slowdown penalties. But even so, literally, what are we to slow down to? Because we're already going about the speed limit of a penalty. Through the right we go, where we get the inside of Sonic. This is where you're taking the tight line is better. We did have to run with the slipstream here as we fast forward a bit further on then. And we've got to run on German Kiwi. So we've got that 2-second penalty. And what we're going to do, we're going to go towards the right-hand side here. And we're just going to see how much of an impact this actually is. So we're even with German Kiwi as we go onto the penalty line there. So we're taking that 2-second penalty now. It's all about speeding up again, which is a bit difficult in this car. Now, the penalty is cost us 1 second so far. So is it a 2-second penalty? Arguably, no, it's nowhere near that, actually, as we continue on through there. Now, did you notice anything? Yes, I cut the track again, so did Sonic here. But what I'm going to do is going to try and bump draft Sonic now and try and get ahead of German Kiwi as far as possible. And hopefully we can maintain position or maybe even benefit from this. But let's see what happens then. Downhill, up here we go into the left. And one thing I would recommend is not bump drafting on the hill. You do lose a lot of momentum there, as you can see here. And German Kiwi's got a good run then on my inside. Gonna have to give them a bit of space here as we go into this right-hander. That's exactly what I do. As we go to the next right-hander, I'm just slowing it down a little bit more here. I lift, I turn in, and unfortunately, I head off the circuit. Yeah, I got that completely wrong, if I'm brutally honest with you. I have no idea why I did that. But even so, we come back on the circuit, side by side, and to my surprise, I get a 1.5-second penalty. As you can see, my face, I never realized how reactional my face is sometimes. That was hilarious looking at that. But even so, we come across in P3. Not the greatest race in the world. Very memey indeed. I've given it 2.5. The reason it gets 2.5, start type is good, I suppose. There are no penalty issues in the grand scheme of it. And you can have some good racing, so it gets a 0.5 for that. But it's just atrocious, in my opinion, this one. I need to review the scoring system a bit, I feel. Now, there's no guide there because there's no braking. So we'll jump straight into daily race B then, unusually for us. And we're at Bluemoon Bay, Infield A, one of my favourite circuits on Gran Turismo. Finally, we get to use it. And we're doing 6 laps here in Group 4. It's a rolling start, but nice, easy one there. Racing medium tyres, so nice tyre choice as well. And brake balance is the only thing you can adjust. Now, I'm in the Lamborghini Huracan Group 4 car because it's the fastest car at the moment. Now, a key start to this one. We've never used this track at all in terms of GT7. So finally, we get to use this track, sorry. In terms of issues, the Meta car is deadly. The Lamborghini Huracan is a very deadly car. Walls can be annoying, and turn 1 is deadly as you come off the banking. You do have to be careful. One thing I'd like to see changed with this track, in fact. Let's jump into this race then. Let's have a look exactly what happens. Here we are then at the start of the race. A lot of people are picking the Meta car of the Huracan. It is a deadly car, though, as we get ready for this race. If you enjoy this video, as always, do give it a like and do subscribe to the channel. Stay in touch with all the latest content. A big thank you for the support, as always. This channel is rapidly growing, and we've got more and more specials to do, which is great for you guys, I would say. Right, we're going to head in towards turn 1, and this is one of the deadly corners that I talked about in the key stats. Just coming off the banking there, it can really unsettle the car. Try and get out the inside where you can here. We're on the inside of Grove Street Racer here as we exit that corner. The Spanish driver behind tried to get around the outside. Unfortunately, hit the barrier as we go into this left-hander. We're still on the inside then. Oh, hello, we got a spinner there, so we'll take that position. I think Grove Street's just backed out of that one as well, so up into P13. Oh, hello, we got another spinner there. SP John on the right-hand side, so we take another place. Up into P12. Carving up this field very quickly in this race as we go in towards the hairpin. Now, this is one of my favorite tracks. I make no bones about it. This track you can have fantastic racing. Let's see how good the racing is as we continue on here then, because I've used it in the community championships. I've used it everywhere. It's just good, honest, fun racing, this track. Leave that corner, then I'm going to head towards left-hander. I'm going to lift off a little bit here because I want the run out the corner. So I'll lift off a little bit. I'm going to go into here. I want to cut as much of the inside as possible, which is what I try and do here. So when it hits the barrier, we get on the inside there. 2 for 1 by backing out of that corner. That shows you the impact of getting a good run out that last corner as we get on towards lap number 2 then. Sonic up ahead. We're in the slipstream of Sonic as well, in the quick fit machine. Look at this. We've got the run and a half. We're going to go towards that inside. It's another position, all from setting up the last corner. So really think about that. Now, if you do want a good line for turn 1, it's better to actually come a bit more deeper into turn 1 like that, because you don't get the bump, and it may actually help settle the car. Going out wide, obviously, is the better line, but it can unsettle it. Going to go in towards the left-hander there. Sonic on the inside here, going for the return. As we go through here, though, I try and maintain the speed around the outside, and I managed to get it done. Happy days indeed. Up into P9 then. Another group of cars up ahead with Max Power picking the non-Meta car of the Toyota GR Supra Group 4 car. In towards the last corner we go then through, or technically not last corner, penultimate corner. This is the last corner, but even so, we get a good run through there. We get past Max Power, looking to get past Hodgson as well as we go towards the right-hand side here. And I do wish Hodgson well. Hodgson is healing at the moment from a bad knee as we continue on past then, up into P7. Shadow next up. Can we get another one? Another 3 on one straight. Here we go, on the inside again. Here we go. Can we get it done? We get the car stopped nicely as we continue on through here. But Shadow's going to go for the return run then on the exit. I really wish I was in 3rd gear there. That really did cost me as I go in towards this left-hander. I'm going to try around the outside again like I did on Sonic, but we get a bit more oversteer this time. Shadow is still there, so I can't take the optimum line. In towards the right we go. I'm just going to have to slow it up a little bit to give Shadow some room on the exit, and Shadow is going to keep that position now. Hodgson looking to get the move done, and this is what I mean about this circuit. Look at this racing. It's so good. You can race everywhere, inside line, outside line. Hodgson sends it down the inside, gets it wrong there. We're on the inside of Shadow now. Shadow saw it as well as we continue on through there. Again, the racing, look at this, side-by-side racing the entire lap at the moment as we go into this left-hander. It's beautiful stuff. Everybody wants this. Surely you want this. I love this circuit. Why are we just using it for the first time now? I do not know as we go into this left-hander. Cut all the inside as much as you can. We try and get the run there. Hodgson hits a barrier on the outside. Do be careful about doing that. And here we go again. So we're in the slipstream with Shadow. Shadow doesn't really have the slipstream of please don't crash me up ahead. So let's see what we can do here then as we go towards that inside line. I don't really cut this race at the moment because there's been that much racing so far. As we go on to lap number 4 here then, as we head towards turn number 1. Again, the slightly shallower line here does stop the bump. We do stop it a little bit better this time, in 3rd gear this time as we continue on out. Now, I decide not to go defensive here. This is a mistake on my part. I really should have gone defensive because Shadow goes down the inside then, looking to get the move done. I give a bit of room there on that outside, but we're going to be in the same situation as the previous lap then. Shadow on the outside, me on the inside. Got to give room on the exit. Shadow gets a brilliant run through there, and here comes Hodgson once again. He's deja vu here. But, again, I will say it again. The racing is so good here. We're having a brilliant race here as we go into the right-hander. It is good fun. You can't say this isn't good fun. This is why I play Gran Turismo, for this kind of racing. I love this. I really do. And it's all because of the circuit. The circuit offers this. Nice tight corners, some fast parts as well. Like slipstreaming, hard braking. It really is nice here as we head towards the penultimate corner. Once again, trying to get on that inside line as much as possible. And through we go. So in P7 at the moment. Hodgson very close behind then. Looking to get the slipstream move done here. As we get a bit of a bump draft there as well as we get onto this start-finish straight then. A bit further back from Shadow this time, so we can't really go for that move on the inside of turn 1. However, Hodgson behind. Very close indeed then. Is he going to go for the move? That is the question. Does look on the inside here as we head towards turn 1. I go on the brakes. I release a little bit there because I got a bit scared. And as we go into here then, we just get some oversteer. We tried to correct it, and correcting this car is a mission and a half. Then I realized I'm on the wrong brake balance. I should be on a higher brake balance. I've been on 0 the entire time. I'll explain why I was on 0. It's because I had to turn the driving line off, which you'll see for Daily Race C, but do bear with me that one. This race, in my opinion, is absolutely fantastic. Even though the end result wasn't the greatest, fantastic. 4.5 out of 5. The only bad thing about this race is the race length. I feel it should be longer. It's the shortest of the 3 races, so it only gets 0.5 for that one. Here we go then with a track guide. Yes, there is one in this video, unusually, the only one. But as we head towards turn 1, you've got the triple left arrow sign there. That is your brake marker for turn 1. I highly recommend, if you're struggling with turn 1 in the Lamborghini, if you're picking up a car you may not struggle as much, you go for a slightly shallower line. So come off the banking at less of an angle. The more of an angle you come off at, the more unstable it can be. Notice there, nice and stable. I drop to 3rd gear. I start accelerating when that lamppost with the marshal box is in the center of my screen. That's when I start accelerating. If you start to understeer, just lift to about 80% and you should be fine to make the corner. But you really want to start accelerating 100% straight away and just get round. This is all-wheel drive, this Lamborghini. And you can see that. I started to understeer a little bit, so I backed off a little bit to avoid hitting the barrier. This next corner, a bit of a tricky one. So it's just after the 100 board here. Now, you got the red billboard on the right-hand side. Or you can try and use the black billboard here on the wall. Now, you brake in at this moment in time. You're not braking very much later unless you're in a different car, because the car will want to turn in. You want to abuse the inside here. Don't touch the wall, but you do want to abuse a lot of the inside. The white stuff does count as track as we continue towards the left. Make sure you keep a nice tight line here because you want to be as far left as possible for this right-hander. On the left, you've got the end of the concrete on the left-hand side. I was trying to use the Armco into tyre barrier on the left a bit more in terms of a judgment call, but that on the left is a very good mark here. Now, you do want to drop to 3rd gear potentially. I did change between 3rd and 4th gear. You upshift to 4th quite early to avoid any power oversteer as we continue on through there. It could be a 4th gear corner in the end. It's a bit much of a judgment call, and it's very early on a Monday, so I'm not 100% sure yet. When we get to this hairpin right-hander, the bridge holder there on the right-hand side, okay, that is your brake marker. You could use the start of it, you could use the end of it. It's entirely up to you. Now, some people like a wide line and then come into this corner. I like to V it a little bit and then try and stay tight. So there we go. We go out and we come back in and then accelerate as quick as possible out this corner. It's all-wheel drive. It will grip. Head over towards the right-hand side, and what we're looking for on the right-hand side is that orange painted barrier. I brake just after this, and once again, a V-shape can work here. You don't have to necessarily follow the out to stay tight to outline. You can very much go for a V-shaped line, and it will work very well, especially on this corner, even more than the last one, just because it's a V-shaped corner. There's a little bit of straight in there. Now, what I'm looking for on exit is the exit curb there. When I see that, I can instantly start accelerating. This car should make it round absolutely fine. So I see that. I'm instantly on 100% throttle. You can see that with the big and large bar there. You can also see it on chase cam. A bit harder to see on chase cam, potentially as the exit curb gets towards the end of the barrier. You can then go for it that way. But we're going to head towards the penultimate corner. But this is the corner that really matters for your next lap and this lap. So on the left-hand side, you've got a lamppost. You've also got the 50 board there. Now, I like to use the lamppost here. So just after the lamppost leaves the screen, I'm going to drop to 3rd gear, turn in. I'm lifting at that point as well, and then I'm going to short shift to 4th gear to really get through the corner. Okay, so that's what my plan is. Short shift to 3rd, then up to 4th. I stayed on the white stuff on the inside of the curb. It counts as track, and we can head towards the line. That was a 0.3. It was rank 1 at the time. It's not rank 1 now, but I will certainly be having a go at this race again, as it's one of my favourites. Now, one of your favorites probably, but not one of mine, is this one here. So this is the Nurburgring endurance layout, okay? And you are seeing wet weather. Yes, we have dynamic weather this week here at the Nurburgring. It's 6 laps as well. It's a very long race. Expect a 48-minute race at least here. Rolling start, racing hard tyres. Of course, the wet and inters are available as well. Times 2 fuel and tyre wear. And you can only change the brake bounce. Now, fuel is critical here. You may have to save fuel. Let's have a look at some of the key stats here for this one. We've never used this layout of the Nürburgring before. And issues, it's wet weather, so do expect to be very slippy indeed. It's very hard to overtake on the Nordschleife part of the layout, and you do have to be careful of fuel as well in terms of this one. I chose the AMG in the end. I originally set a time in the BMW. Let's jump into this race then. Let's have a look at exactly what happens as it goes a bit crazy. Right, here we are then at the start of this one. You're going to see a famous name in here. Yes, Super GT, well, you can't actually see yet, is in here because my face is covering it. He's behind me right now. If you do enjoy this video, as always, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Stay in touch with all the latest content. It's actually split too, weirdly. There was so many people wanting to participate in this race this morning. It was very popular, and we ended up in split too, which was a surprise, which is why you don't see some of the names you normally see in this one. It towards the left we go, so you can see here we're using the full Mercedes-Benz arena part of the layout if you're unsure of the endurance layout as we come to this left-hander. What does change, though, is we don't use the full GP circuit, which is what we're using right now as we go into this right-hander. Hudson, just struggling a little bit of understeer in that NSX. The GTR Bahamas struggling here, but again, this is the endurance layout, so we use the sprint part here. So we're going to go into the hairpin here. Going to follow Bahamas, hopefully, on the inside as we continue on through here. Are we going to get past Hodgson? That is the question. It looks like we may have done this. We go into the left hand. Oh, a bit of contact between the two up ahead. That slows us down. Steve manages to break behind us as well as we go into the right hander, looking to slow it down. Do we get it done? Yes, indeed. We continue on out of there then as we are side by side with Hodgson. Steve gives me a bump draft. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that. As we head up towards the chicane. Now, I don't really go for moves here at the chicane. I was hoping Bahamas would go towards the right-hand side. Steve's going to back out of this, but Hodgson sends it down the inside here as we go into the left-hander. And it's the slightest of nudges here that sends me off the circuit. I managed to bring it back on and stay towards the right-hand side as best as I can as we go into the left-hander. Up ahead is a big crash as well. 2 cars off. The Spaniard getting all sorts of wrong into there as well. When all's said and done, it looks like we're going to be coming out of here at P9, which I have no idea how we've done that, bearing in mind of all the chaos that ensued there as we continue on. Now, there will be bloopers, of course. And speaking of bloopers, Bahamas, they're going very slowly, so we'll have a look at what happened to Bahamas. But look at that wet weather radar. You may have seen it briefly. There's wet weather on the cars. Now, you saw my brake bounce as well. +3 as we go into the left-hander. The Spaniard getting it. Oh, I have to hammer on the anchors there to avoid sending the Spaniard to the Shadow Realm, because Steve's in here. We'll say Shadow Realm as we continue on out of there then. So, this is a bit frustrating a little bit as well because I can see the Spaniard is struggling here. So, we're going to get slowed up quite a lot. I cannot even see where Steve's gone as we continue on through here, through Foxhole. Of course, this is where I always mention it when I'm at the Nürburgring. You know, the E3 video for GT Sport. You hear the crash that I have at the Foxhole when I was at the open event or the beta event. Or reveal event, should I say, of Gran Turismo Sport, which you can check out on YouTube, of course. Right, we'll leave that corner then. Spaniard just getting it wrong again here. So we're going to try around the outside, which is not really a move you can do here on the left-hander. We're going to try it all the same as we go into the left-hander. They just get it a tiny bit wrong, I think. Nothing major, it's just the smallest of taps, but they were trying to give me room, so, you know, it's racing at the end of the day. We're going to go into the left and the right here then. I cannot remember the hit-miss. I cannot remember which one this is. I nearly get it wrong. The Spaniard does get it wrong, though, and we're finally past here as we get onto the Dottinger Straight then. What I'm doing here then, I'm turning my driving line on. The reason why I'm turning this on is because of the wet weather. We can see it's coming in down at the bottom. Remember, that line in the wet is the line you want to avoid. Now, we chose intermediate tyres. I chose not to refuel. Now, that's because there is a dry spell coming up later on in the race, and I was hoping I could put dry tyres on, but we'll see how that goes. We leave the pits then, and we're going to be right behind Metal 8 Racer as we head towards turn number 1. Now, I got very confused here with the ghosting, of course, so I'll back out of this completely as we go into turn 1. Metal 8 Racer just inside of Bahamas then, and these are some people who've had incidents on lap 1, of course, so they haven't been in the pits. We are in the pits. I went to the intermediate tyres because I saw the wet weather coming in. The problem is, how quick is this wet weather going to come in? Because we don't want to use all the intermediate tyres up very quickly. So we're going to go through the left-hander and then into the right. Also keep an eye on those tyre temperatures down in the bottom left. It's something that I am paying attention to, and people keep asking me, how do I get it on? It's not on my game. I edit it in, essentially, so you can see it. It's towards the hairpin we go. Them down inside of the BMW. The Spaniard's off there, so they're having a terrible time in that Porsche. Honestly, they have ruined that Porsche since the change. Now we get towards the end of lap 2 here on the Nurburgring, and Norman behind me is on dry tyres and absolutely flying, so it really was the wrong lap to do intermediates. Those tyre temps up to around 80, which is what the dries are up to, which doesn't make sense in my opinion. Why are intermediate tyres not burning up here when it's a drier circuit? We're only just getting into the part of the race where intermediates are technically valid. So very confused with that. Norman's going to bump draft me here down until the point where they feel they can't overtake, and they're going to go down the inside here is Norman. So really smart driving there from the AMG driver, and I'm going to lift a little bit here to let them go because I don't want to go too wide down here, and I was expecting them to come in the pits, to be honest with you. So we'll see what happens when we get to that pit line. Then you can see that wet weather, see dark blue on the radar as well as we go into this right-hander. Hodgson's in the pits there. The leaders have come in the pits as well, so we were 57 seconds behind them. It did cost a lot of time. Norman didn't come in the pits. Now look at that up ahead. Just getting some wet weather coming off those tyres as we go into this right-hander. So I'm going to start to avoid that racing line. That's why I've got it enabled, okay? It's really helpful. Highly recommend you use it if you are struggling here, because that's the slippy line when the conditions get like this. It's also the drying line when it starts to dry up. So that's the line you then want to use. Now, it's not necessarily what the line the cars use. It's what the game refers to as the racing line. So what the AI would use, etc. Going through here, then Norman's surviving at the moment, but he's starting to struggle there. You can see the wiggle of the car as we head towards the hairpin. Then they brake extremely early for this one. They're on the racing line as well. We send it down the inside and we get the job done. At the moment, the racing line isn't too slippy, so we can still use it at the moment. Traction control is on 1 for me, if you are wondering at the moment, but I am going to change that later on in the race. We're coming into this right-hander, though. In towards the left we go. We just get it wrong, and into the barrier we go. We managed to start getting going again. Norman's gone behind us. Absolutely disappeared. Going backwards. Definitely not the right time to stay on dry tyres at all. And look at this dark blue coming in as well. And we get it wrong into the right-hander. So we're just trying to get used to this. We're at the point where the racing line is becoming slippy. And I'm showing you all my crashes as well, because I show you everything here. You can see we've caught up to the leaders a little bit. They've had some crashes here. The Spanish driver up ahead has had some crashes. They were 17 seconds ahead of me at one point. They just got for the foxhole. I nearly followed them then. In towards the left they go. That's like my E3 accident, actually. They go off. I managed to survive here, and I move up into P6 with the owner of P6 up ahead of me. Yes, Steve is up ahead then. So 7 seconds. They've had a bit of an issue there as well as Steve. Down to 4.2 seconds as we go into this left-hander. Lap number 4, that blue, the dark... Well, the heavy rain, the dark blue has gone there. Bit of slippiness there from us. Costs us a bit of time then. And Steve's starting to increase that gap again. Look at our intermediate tyres, though. They're really worn here. We've got a yellow flag up ahead. Who's off then? Is it Steve? That's the question as we go into this right-hander. Well, we go sideways into the right-hander. I'll continue on. Honestly, this race is crazy. Now, I don't like the Nurburgring for racing. I've already said this many times before. However, this race, I'd argue, is quite fun. Now, one thing I'd recommend here on the carousel is to go on the outside line. Hello, we got... There's the yellow flag. There is for it. IQ ball going backwards. But go on the outside line. Don't take the carousel line. It's way too slippy. Go on the outside line. When it's raining, it's actually a quicker line for you. In towards the left we go then on lap number 5. We're getting it wrong here. The track is starting to dry up, and I tried to go a bit aggressive, so I've got dirt on my tyres now. The problem with that is the tyres now are extremely slippy. The second you get dirt on your tyres, it's like they've got zero grip. It's like negative grip, essentially. Look at it. Traction control working overtime. It's on +3 now, by the way, with the wet weather. I turned up to +3. It really did help me out. The gap to leaders is 43 seconds. You can see it did help there. Probably their car choice. They're in the BMW M6, which didn't used to be any good here in wet weather. And you see the dirt on my tyres. I've got no grip whatsoever. It's just sliding all over the place. It really is. And it's just a struggle to bring it back here. We're 23 seconds, or was 23 seconds, ahead of the Spanish driver behind as we come down here. But remember what happened earlier on in the race as well. I didn't refill because I was waiting for this dry patch here. So this is what I'm hoping for on that wet weather radar. I'm hoping for the track to start drying very quickly here so that I can actually maximize the dry tire on the final lap. That was my plan here as I go into the left-hander. Sliding all over the place. I managed to catch it there though. The dirt, honestly, dirt on tires in the wet is atrocious. I feel like they need to do something about it because it's just... I don't feel that's very realistic in the slightest if they are trying to go for realism. Into what's left we go again, just sliding all over the place. I was on the racing line at that point, so that's more my fault. And that gap of 23 seconds to the Spanish driver behind is vanishing into thin air as we crash again. I show you my good driving, I show you my bad driving. You can see here I'm just making mistake after mistake, and it really is costing me a lot. The sunshine coming down now on the Nurburgring though, so hopefully this track does start to dry. I can maximize the dry tires. Spanish driver, 23 seconds gone. Remember, I was very close to Super GT in terms of 4 seconds at one point. Steve's gone, and we're way back here now again, and we do have to go in the pits. We've got our fuel, it's down low, but we are in this dry section of the race, but it's looking too wet. looks too wet to me. Look at the wet weather on the left-hand side in terms of how wet the track is. Participation radar, whatever you want to call it, meter. It's very close to that second bar there, so I am going to come in, and I decided to go on the intermediate tires. I'm going to refill as well here, just to get the extra lap of fuel in. Arguably, I should have saved fuel during the run, maybe, and that would have helped me, and I could have stayed out. But what this is actually going to show you is how good intermediate tires there potentially are. Or is it? Because look at that. There is now a very dry line there appearing on the circuit. Look at how dry that is. Where's that come from? Out the blue. A very quick drying line just right appeared. You can see my hand up in the air because I'm like, well, that's not helped me, has it? I could have gone on the dry tyres potentially here. Even so, we'll see how it goes. Now, I came out the pits 1 minute 17 behind the leaders. I'm now 1 minute 9. Fresh intermediate tyres are insane in these kind of conditions. I just want to put that out there. It's still wet up here then, so potentially it was the right decision to stay on the intermediate tyres. You can see there I'm taking all sorts of lines. Tried around the outside here. Don't quite have the grip there to do that as I continue on through them. But we have got up to Metal Lake Racer very quickly. And as I say, I caught 7 seconds to those leaders, even 8 seconds, very quickly on these fresh intermediate tyres. So don't rule it out if you need to come in for a fresh set of intermediates. That is really quick speed. Now, I'm being held up here, of course, because Metal Lake Racer is defending, which is expected. They came in on the same lap as me. They filled up their car. I didn't. So they're going to be struggling on very worn intermediate tyres right now. They really are. And I'm looking for a way to overtake. As we come down into here then, slowing the car down as we go into the left-hander. And we're going to slow it down here. And, we hit the brakes there to avoid hitting the rear of them. Unfortunately, it sends us off into the barrier. Bit of disappointment there. And we're going to have to get going again there. So back up to 117 on the leaders. And look, another 4 seconds on the leaders. And we're caught up to this pack here. So just to explain what's going on here, I've checked this in advance. The 2 cars up ahead are on wet tyres. Metal Lake Racer's on worn intermediates. So we've just joined this group in a very weird situation then, because we're on fresh intermediates. Everybody's absolutely everywhere here. Bongi goes towards the outside line. I stick on the racing line at this point, and I get on the inside here. That should be a position gain. There we go. Up into P9 we go as we go through the mini carousel then, and we've got all the grip in the world. We have to lift off there before nearly rear-ending Metal Lake Racer. You can see the difference in the tyres. It is astronomical here as we continue on through this right-hander. I'm going to head on to the dot and go. Trying to get a good run through here. Look at the grip difference there as everyone runs wide here. Trying to go towards the right-hand side quickly there, but we tap Metal Lake Racer. Now, I don't get any damage here. Okay, now I just want to put this out there. I'm going to check the bloopers for damage, because I notice here, halfway down straight, I'm like, well, does he have damage or not? I don't have damage, so I expect Metal Lake Racer not to have damage. But he's not gaining with the slipstream. Now, I'm in the slipstream, so I'm going to start to gain. So I'm like, okay, it mustn't have been damage. Must have just been me carrying on. But again, we'll check the bloopers just to be sure there, because if I did give damage, I really should give this position back, and I'm not too sure at the moment. I'm going to head towards the line then here. The Spaniard up ahead, who was struggling earlier on, but still out ahead of me at the moment, shows you if you can survive this race, you can really gain a lot of positions here. And look at the length of this race. It's 54 minutes right now as we go into the right-hander. We're going to try and get a good run out this corner. You see there, they're struggling with the grip, and we get a massive run here. We're going to head towards the line, finishing in P7 when all's said and done. When we were in P6 having an atrocious lap on lap number 5. I'll take that at the end of the day. And this race, I've given a 9 out of 10. I think it's a brilliant race. I don't like the Nurburgring, but even so, it's a good race. The only thing that lets it down, in my opinion, is the hard tyre. If it was a racing medium tyre, I think they were bob on with this race, and it would have been a 10 out of 10. The first 10 out of 10 I would have given for a daily race C. So, because I didn't really talk about it hugely in the race and the strategy for daily race C. In an all-dry race, you can try and save fuel if you can, and that way you don't have to pit, because there's no necessity to pit in this race. The problem with that is you are going to be going slower and your tyres will wear, but it does avoid traffic, which is a big problem on this circuit. If you do have to pit though, so I'd say if you need to save over a lap of fuel, I would pit. I would put some fresh boots on at that point, and then really go for it. Don't pit on like lap 5 or so, on the first lap, at the end of the first lap, if it's an all-dry race, because all you're going to do is put yourself back into traffic and you'll be on a heavier fuel load. It's better then to just go a bit further on into the race, have a lighter car and therefore a faster car. But you do have to try and avoid the traffic, which is a bigger problem. It's a wet weather race. Light green takes around a lap to really get the track wet, so you could go that extra lap potentially. You saw that in my race. Inters versus wets, there's no real difference when it is actually raining properly. Wets with a heavy rain will obviously be a tiny bit better, but if it starts to lighten up very quickly, the inters are going to be the better tyre, and inters are going to be far better on a drying track. So just keep that in mind if you are picking between the two tyres. And a fresh set of inters, as you saw in my race, could be beneficial. You know, if I'd have pitted a lap earlier, put a fresh set of inters, it could have been much more beneficial than me trying to stay out the extra lap and just see if it dried a bit more. So I reckon if there's 2 laps left and it's still very much wet and about to go into dry, I would go potentially for a fresh set of inters if it's really going to help you out. Right, we're in the bloopers then as we go into this one. Yeah, it was just nowhere to go there. I just got smashed into left, right, and center. Kind of funny, really. If you're wondering why there's no track guide on C, it's because it's the Nurburgring. And I'll talk about it again in a second because we've got this blooper here. So we've got Lindy outbrakes themselves in towards left-hander, sends Sonic off, but they also go off because the Huracan is very unstable. So they go spinning. Sonic was worried whether he had to wait there. Definitely not in that situation. SP John then on the grass there, going into the right-hander. Definitely going to go for a spin. That explains that one. Does manage to recover it, though, quite well there. So well played, SP John 21. What's next on the bloopers? Oh, it's my one here. So, again, I had to look at this. It was really weird because perception for me at the time, I thought I was trying to, you know, be safe with Shadow, trying to avoid Shadow. But it's all on my own doing, in my honest opinion. So, perception versus reality, very different there. Definitely my own doing. I did trail brake a bit more just to try and back out there. And, yeah, it was all on me. I did try and avoid Hodgson as well on the outside. Speaking of which, we're on board Hodgson now in the NSX here. So you can see Steve on the right-hand side. Hodgson's got nowhere to go here. So it's a very awkward position for Hodgson to be in. Just try and slow the car down there. It's a tiny setup. Too wide doesn't really work through there. But Hodgson had nowhere to go. And he's waiting up for me there. So good sportsmanship. But it's just a racing incident at the end of the day. I don't feel he had to wait up for me there. In towards this Turkish driver then. So it hits the Spaniard who is just recovering from an incident there. And the Turkish driver is just going to hit the Spanish driver off. No idea what you were thinking there because that's not the Spanish driver's fault in the slightest unless something's gone on earlier on. I didn't actually check, but very confusing. Please don't take people out. There's no need for it at all. So Bahamas here, just going to run wide on the fast right-hander there and into the barrier. That explains why Bahamas is going very slow. Spaniard driver on lap number 2 into a... Well, I mean, they're not even turning there. What's going on? Oh, is that when it started raining potentially? I'm not too sure. But literally, no turning whatsoever for the Spanish driver. So, yeah, that's unfortunate. And what is brutal, actually, I remember recording this now. Look at this. 5 cars go by you. You just think, oh, my word, that's the end of your race. We got on board the Spanish driver here, Gotex. So what happened to them? Because we did catch like 20 seconds to them on this race. So we'll continue on. Oh, literally, they literally breathed on the throttle pedal and it span there. So this is where it gets very annoying in the wet weather, in my opinion. I feel like it's overly slippy, even now with the new physics. It's better than it was, but even so, it's still crazy. And then when you got dirt on your tyres, there's just no grip there whatsoever. It's like it's in negative values. We got board Steve there. Steve in P3 right now. And again, just a tiny bit of wheel spin and goes for a spin. The wheel spin causes a spin and in a really awkward part of the track where you can't really turn around, to be honest with you. So it has to do a 3-point turn. And you fail your driving test there, Steve. You hit the barrier. Sorry, mate. As we continue on then, as we go on board. Ball, this is Ball into the barrier and the fast left-hander. So they're going to have damage and they're going to have dirt on their tyres. They managed to recover it quite nicely here. As they continue on into the right then. And they're sliding all over the place. Again, it's that dirt on tyres in a wet weather situation. It's deadly. I just don't understand it. Right, we're going to this right-hander. What's going to happen here? They are 50% throttle and they're spinning. And they even have other driving assists on there to help them. And it's just not working out. The car has zero grip at that point. Zero. There's nothing they can do. There really isn't. And I feel like something that PD probably should investigate a bit more to maybe help drivers with. Because going through this carousel then. Again, 50% throttle. And they're just spinning. Traction controls on. They can't do anything. They're in literally no man's land at that point. They have to drive so slowly. Which arguably can become dangerous in itself. Just to try and wait for the tyres to get the dirt off, which is normally like 3 corners generally. Right, what's the damage here? This is my question. You see how worn the intermediates are? There was. I apologise in advance there, Metal Lake Racer. I didn't get damage, as you saw from my perspective, so I assume there was no damage. And we were level pegging at this moment in time. Yeah, I should have given that position back. That's entirely on me, that one. Apologies there, Metal Lake Racer. I really do apologise. In terms of lap guides, why there's none for Daily Race C is that a Nurburgring lap guide would take forever and it would be an hour video. So do check out the lap guide right there that you can click of a Nurburgring on a different car. My logo's there if you also want to subscribe, and then there's another video there if you want to check it out. Check out the partners below and do give it a like on the way out. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in another video or live stream again very soon.